just filmed this whole thing and then realised my head was in the way. All I've done so far is go in with this kind of middle-sized brush, and I've gone in with burnt umber and ultramarine blue, and I've just mixed that with a little bit of Gamsol paint solvent, and that will just make it dry a little bit faster so that we can go in with the second layer. And I've just been doing it in this kind of crossing motion, and that helps you to get kind of an even faded effect rather than like a back and forth liney effect. We have done the outside dark a bit. You can see I've done this on Photoshop. This was my picture that I took at a sanctuary. But he was such a lovely chicken. He had so much character, and I just cuddled him for ages. And yeah, I thought, oh yeah, I need to go over why I'm actually doing this painting. There is a bird sanctuary near me who really need to raise funds for their sanctuary. So they've come up with a few fundraising ideas, and one of them is a art auction. So they're getting loads of local artists to draw a bird, paint, whatever, sculpture, a bird related piece of art, and they're going to auction it off. So I've got to make this really good so that people want to buy it. But yeah, I thought this chicken was really fitting because he's also from a sanctuary in Bexhill, and I volunteered there and just fell in love with all the animals. He was saved from slaughter, I believe, when he was a young chick. But now he rules the roost over 3 other chickens at the sanctuary, and he's just... cockerels just have the most amazing personalities. But yeah. So I'm going in, sorry, I forgot to talk you through. So this is my kind of colour for the middle bit. It's a little bit light, I think, so I'm going to put some more burnt umber in there. And all that is zinc white, which is a little bit more creamy than titanium white. And we've got a little bit of Naples yellow in there to give it that more beigey tone. And I think that's it. Yeah. And this just makes a really nice beigey brown. It's a bit thick at the moment, so I'll add some more Gamsol. As you can see, I'm really not a tidy worker. My palette is a mess. So this will do for the first layer. It's still a little bit light. Sorry, I hope that's in focus. It's still slightly light, but we're going to do a few more layers on this, so it doesn't matter. It's just to kind of map out where that gradient's going to be. As you can see, this with the Gamsol is already drying, so I think it's a common misconception that oil paint is hard to work with because it takes so long to dry. But it's just not the case. You can tailor it to whatever kind of effect you want by using different mediums and techniques. The medium I use when I want it to dry faster is this Galkid by Gamblin. I love Gamblin, they're probably my favourite brand. And it's basically, it thins oil colours, increases transparency and gloss, and speeds up drying. Thin layers will be touch dry in approximately 24 hours. It says it levels brush strokes, creating an enamel-like surface. Apply thinly, do not pour apply. Not to be used as a varnish. So yeah, that basically really speeds up drying time. And you can also get these Winsor and Newton. These are really reasonably priced. They're not the best quality in terms of archival. Like, you know, it won't last as long as the... But, you know, if you're just doing a paint for yourself or you want it to just last... I mean, no one really cares if their paintings are going to last like 100 years plus, because no one lives that long. Well, I plan to live that long. But yeah, these have Alkyd medium included in them, so you don't have to mix it up. And Jason Morgan uses these, and he's an amazing oil painter. If you don't follow him, look him up on YouTube. But yeah, they already have the Alkyd medium mixed in, so they dry a lot faster than the other oil paints. If you're wondering what that robot looking thing is, I just got it recently. It's basically a air purifier, and well, it's an air conditioner really for summer because it gets unbearably hot in this conservatory, which is where I work. It's great for natural light, but the heat in summer is just unbearable. So I thought I'd treat myself to that this year. But it also purifies and humidifies the air, which is really great for when you're oil painting, because a lot of these things are odourless, so you don't really realise how much it can affect you. I mean, if you're painting all the time, over time, it's going to cause an effect that's toxic. And I've also got a Daegu in the same room as me, and I didn't want him to be affected by it. So yeah, it basically purifies the air, sends like a wind over you, and gets rid of all those, well, not all of them, but helps to minimise the effect of the oil paints on your health. Sorry, my phone keeps almost dying, so I have to quickly put it on charge. So yeah, I've got this beige colour, and I'm just making that same crisscross motion to have an even covering in that gradient. Kind of also going in circular motions just to keep that smoothness of the paint. I want to do like maximum 2 layers on this, so I don't want to be too rough in the beginning. But the Gamsol thinned paint that I used is literally almost drying. Like, it's still got a tap to it, so you can blend, but it is almost dry, so I'd probably give that like an hour until it's fully dry and you can add another layer. And again, that is the beauty of oil paint. I really want to practice my skills of oil paint because I'd love to start offering pet portraits in oils. Probably putting my eggs in too many baskets, but that's what I see myself doing. I find it the most relaxing because the stress is, well, it can be stressful if it goes wrong, but the stress is less there than when you're working with coloured pencils, for example, because you've always got that opportunity to go in with another layer over the top, even if you mess up. And obviously it's so easy to just go in with another layer once that layer has dried. And the process kind of just makes sense to me. Once I realised that you have to go in with your darks first and then slowly build up those midtones and then the highlights, it's made things a lot easier. I'm using this video as an opportunity to rant about oil paints. Now I think that is a good colour, because I don't want the gradient to be too strong or it will take the emphasis away from that chicken. Rooster, should I say? I really want to paint him as if he's kind of majestic and important, because I feel like chickens are never really seen as important, you know, they're mistreated. The EU law, since Brexit, doesn't even acknowledge them as sentient beings when they have such character and personality. It's just criminal, really. So yeah, I wanted to paint him as if he was, you know, to reflect his personality, that he's powerful, he doesn't take any shit. I think most people are drawing seagulls and stuff for this auction, so I thought this would be a little bit different as well. I hope you can see with that lighting. That's better. I've also got the window open when I'm doing this as well, just to keep that airflow regular and fresh. Now to go around the edges I want to be a bit more accurate because I don't want to be losing them. That's one less thing to worry about when I'm doing those layers. So I'll go around. As you can see, I'm using a slightly smaller brush for this area because it's a smaller area. Makes sense. I've actually got a whole new lot of brushes coming in the post. Should be tomorrow, so I've got some ivory daggers coming. If you watch Andrew Tischler, you'll know what they are. But yeah, that should make this chicken a bit more fun. This canvas is really, well, not canvas, it's I think it's a plywood board. It's from Jackson's Art, and it was already toned with this mid-tone. So it saves that whole step of, doing the burnt umber wash to get that mid-tone and judge your colours a bit better. Because I'm such a slow worker. I really need to sort that out. So I'm trying to work out ways to speed up processes. And with colour pencils, that means using solvent. And I'm going to upload a tutorial for that at some point soon, because I'm doing that method for my current commission. I thought I'd do this one a bit more chatty because, I don't know, makes me feel less alone. God, that's sad, isn't it? That's one of the things about being a full-time artist. If you're not keen on being alone, then it's probably not the job for you. I mean, I'm not really a extrovert, I'm quite an introvert, so spending time on my own doesn't bother me. Unless, as in last year, we've been in lockdown, and you can't, well, my friends haven't wanted to meet up, obviously. So it is kind of very isolating when you don't get that kind of weekend with friends. So work's kind of kept me sane, and I'm so glad that I left my other job in time to build this business to make a living before this whole thing happened, because the bar that I was working at closed pretty instantly, went into liquidation in the first lockdown. So yeah, it was just in time that I made the change, really. Right, my phone's about to die again, so you get the gist for this part, and I'll come back to you when I am on the second dark layer. Hello. So I realised that I'd taken this gradient up too high, and it was kind of taking the emphasis away from his face, so just bringing the darkness down a bit. And I just wanted to address another thing about oil painting. A lot of people think it's very messy and, it takes ages to set up, clean up, but it really isn't. I mean, all you need is soap and water to clean your brushes, soap and water to clean your hands, it comes off really easily. The only thing that's annoying to clean is the containers that hold your mediums and solvent, because you kind of need solvent to clean it. But a way to get around that is just put your solvents and stuff in a jar with a lid, and then they won't dry out, and you can just use them every time you paint, and you don't have to wash stuff up. But yeah, I just wanted to say that. I think I'm going to call this video why you should try oil paints as a pencil artist, because I don't think a lot of pencil artists have considered oil paint, and personally it's really helped me to understand colour theory, colour mixing, things like complementary colours. And yeah, it can just give you an insight into all the different mediums that you will use, so even if you just practice with it, it's really beneficial and also quite calming, because you kind of go into a meditative state when you're painting, I find. Unless, like I said, it goes wrong, then the last thing you're doing is meditating, but knowing that you can just change it with the next layer really reduces that. And the next perception, I think, is that it's really expensive, which, granted, it probably is. Well, not probably, it is. My original set of oil paints, I'll put the link in the description. It was a gambling starter set, and it came with a cradled, which is just a board on a frame rather than a thin one. Came with a cradled artboard, and I think there was 9 or 10 paints in it, and it was basically just all of the primary colours, which I used for ages. Like, you don't really need any other colours because you can mix every colour with those primary colours. The only ones I've bought since then are like brighter yellows to make more of a vivid orange, and to try some different brands. But if you get the Galkid oils from, I think I've already shown you, but if you get the Alkyd oils from Winsor & Newton, they're so cheap compared to Gamblin. I think Gamblin is around the £20 mark just for a tube that big, and I think this was like £4.50 or something, and they're really good paints. Like, they dry fast, and so sorry, I've just changed to my thicker brush now to get that gradient a bit smoother. But yeah, so you could start off really cheap. So I'll say a set would be £45 if you're using those Winsor & Newton ones. And then I just make like homemade. This is my solvent and that's my medium. And then I've just got some, this is basically just made out of a candle holder I got in a gift set, and some little dessert pots, which I have too many of because I eat too much dessert. But yeah, you can just get creative, and you can use these also on the mess side of things. These are just disposable palettes, which you can just rip off at the end of the day and put in the bin. I know that's not very environmentally friendly, but gets some complication when you're rinsing oil paint down the sink, because obviously you're not meant to put oils of any kind down the sink because it can mess up the water or something. I don't know. I just know you're not meant to do it. So yeah, if you're trying to clean them when it's dry, you're going to get all that oil down the sink, and that isn't environmentally friendly either. So I think it's better to just put them in the waste bin, and these fold up really small, so it's not that big a deal. You can also make your own palette out of I've got one somewhere, but it's covered in paint that dried, and I'm too lazy to scrape it off. But yeah, you can make your own palette out of a photo frame, and you can just put a brown bit of paper behind the glass of that photo frame just to give you a mid-tone to compare your colours to. And then just use that glass frame as a palette. And glass is really good because it can easily scrape off, and you can easily wash it as well. And I reused that about 10 times so far. Okay, so future me decided to not be lazy, and I made a new palette. I've basically just got this frame from the range and taken the middle bit out, and it had a brown background, which was perfect. So yeah, we've covered toxicness, we've covered messiness. What haven't we covered? We've covered why you should experiment with some oil paint, even if you don't see the point. And we've covered price, so I think that's it. Oh, actually, on the price side, the only thing that's gets really pricey is the boards that you paint on. I really like the wooden smooth boards because it kind of feels more like what I'm used to with drawing. I haven't tried canvas since I've started painting again because I just remember it being really bitty and I just remember it being really unsmooth, and I always used to struggle with it when I was younger. Obviously I'm a lot older now. I have bought some I think you can get canvas rolls really cheap. Not really cheap, but comparatively cheap compared to these boards. I think this one was £8 and it's only 11 by 14 inch. So it gets very expensive. But just for practice pieces you can use, I've seen people using drafting film actually to get a really smooth result. But I'm not sure how many layers you'd be able to get on that. But yeah, you can get like canvas pads really cheap just for your practice pieces. And you can also make boards yourself if you just have like some MDF. Again, I've been too lazy. I'm sure if I start offering commissions in oils, I'm going to delve into making my own, but for now, this will do. I just get a few of these boards every time I do an art order every month, which does amp up the price, but I mean, I always thought that pastel mat was expensive, but blimey, compared to these boards, it's cheap. Still can't really decide if I prefer pastels or coloured pencils. They both have the pluses and minuses. So I kind of just alternate which one I use with every commission, unless I think a picture really lends itself to one or the other. And most of the time I actually combine them, so I might actually go in with the second layer in a minute because it's still wet enough to blend, but it's dry enough to not make those paint strokes. And as you can see, that gradient's getting really natural now. It doesn't show too well on here, but I find it so weird how humans can look like us, and then in the same evolutionary process, another species can look like this. It boggles my mind. So this is just going to be time-lapsed until the end now. One more thing I just wanted to mention as to why coloured pencil artists would really benefit from oil paints is, you know, coloured pencils are such a intricate and, I don't know, I'd call it a tense medium because you are so concentrated and every single stroke is uniform, I guess. And with oil paints you can really just kind of let go and let that creative side of you out, I guess. And it's the freedom can really help us to find that love for art again, I guess, because when you're doing commissions it can seem like you're not really doing much for yourself anymore, and that can damage your creativity, I find. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Here is the finished product. Yeah, I hope you got something from this, and I'll see you in the next video.